Welcome to the Noted Pharmacist, your trusted platform for mastering the intricate dynamics of pharmacy and medicine. In today's segment of our pharmacology lecture series, we delve into anticholinergics, or parasympatholytics agents that inhibit acetylcholine at muscarinic receptors, modulating parasympathetic nervous system activity. This lecture will comprehensively explore their pharmacodynamics, therapeutic indications, and potential adverse effects, equipping you with crucial insights for clinical practice. Previously, we covered parasympathomimetics, their mechanisms, and therapeutic uses. If you missed that, be sure to check out the video linked in the description. Additionally, we've also prepared a special quiz to test your knowledge on today's topic. The quiz includes 10 multiple-choice questions with answers and explanations. The link to this quiz is provided in the description. Learning objectives. By the end of this lecture, you will understand what anticholinergics are and their primary therapeutic uses. You will become familiar with key drugs in this class, their subclassifications, and prototypes. You will comprehend the mechanisms of action of anticholinergics at molecular and cellular levels. You will learn about the indications, pharmacokinetics, and adverse effects of this drug class. You will understand their safety considerations in special populations, including pediatrics and geriatrics. Now, let's move on to understanding what anticholinergics are. Anticholinergics, also known as parasympatholytics, are pharmacological agents that selectively inhibit acetylcholine activity at muscarinic and nicotinic cholinergic receptors. By blocking parasympathetic transmission, these drugs reduce autonomic control over smooth muscles, cardiac tissues, and even central nervous system functions. This mechanism underpins their diverse therapeutic applications, from treating overactive bladder to alleviating Parkinsonian symptoms. Another class of drugs that fall under this lot are acetylcholinesterase reactivators. Acetylcholinesterase reactivators are life-saving agents designed to reverse the inhibition of acetylcholinesterase caused by organophosphate poisoning. These agents work by breaking the bond between the organophosphate and the enzyme, restoring its ability to hydrolyze acetylcholine and alleviating cholinergic crisis. For example, pralidoxime is a commonly used reactivator that re-establishes neuromuscular function by targeting phosphorylated acetylcholinesterase. Anticholinergics are cornerstone agents in modulating the parasympathetic nervous system by inhibiting acetylcholine at muscarinic receptors. This mechanism underpins their diverse clinical applications, which we will explore in later sections, including managing overactive bladder and respiratory conditions. Understanding their pivotal role in autonomic regulation highlights their indispensability across multiple therapeutic domains. Now that we've introduced anticholinergics and acetylcholinesterase reactivators, let's delve into how these drugs are classified, starting with the itemization of the commonly used drugs. This section will provide a clear breakdown of the subclasses within anticholinergics, highlighting their unique characteristics based on their pharmacology and therapeutic indications. Commonly used anticholinergics. Prominent drugs in this pharmacological class include atropine, scopolamine, ipratropium, tiotropium, atracurium, vecuronium, oxybutynin, glycopyrrolate, and pralidoxime. Each drug has specific therapeutic roles. Anticholinergic drugs, an essential pharmacological class, are broadly divided into two major subclasses: muscarinic antagonists and neuromuscular blockers. Muscarinic antagonists, including atropine, scopolamine, and ipratropium, act by inhibiting muscarinic receptors to treat conditions like bradycardia, motion sickness, and asthma. Neuromuscular blockers, such as atracurium, rocuronium, and vecuronium, work at the neuromuscular junction to produce skeletal muscle relaxation during surgeries or intubation. This classification reflects the diverse mechanisms and clinical applications of anticholinergic agents. The table presented here provides a visual classification of anticholinergic drugs into their respective subclasses, with specific examples. Muscarinic antagonists like atropine, scopolamine, and ipratropium are highlighted for their role in modulating parasympathetic activity. Similarly, neuromuscular blockers such as atracurium, rocuronium, and vecuronium are listed for their use in surgical and critical care settings. This breakdown underscores how anticholinergic drugs are categorized based on their targets and therapeutic roles. Mechanism of action. Anticholinergics work by competitively inhibiting acetylcholine at cholinergic receptors. For example, atropine blocks muscarinic receptors, reducing glandular secretions and bronchoconstriction. Let's discuss another mechanism in the next. Anticholinergic drugs exert their effects by targeting cholinergic receptors, classified as muscarinic or nicotinic. The inhibition of these receptors disrupts acetylcholine-mediated signaling, leading to diverse therapeutic effects. This section will discuss the precise mechanisms of action for each subclass of anticholinergics, starting with muscarinic antagonists, followed by neuromuscular blockers. Muscarinic antagonists competitively block acetylcholine at muscarinic receptors, reducing parasympathetic nervous system activity. This inhibition leads to effects such as decreased glandular secretions, relaxation of smooth muscle, and reduced bronchoconstriction. Atropine, for instance, is widely used to counteract bradycardia by increasing heart rate through vagal inhibition. Non-depolarizing neuromuscular blockers, such as atracurium and vecuronium, antagonize nicotinic receptors at the neuromuscular junction. By preventing acetylcholine from activating these receptors, they block muscle contraction, resulting in skeletal muscle relaxation. These agents are commonly used during surgeries and mechanical ventilation. Pralidoxime is an anticholinesterase reversal agent that reactivates acetylcholinesterase inhibited by organophosphates. By breaking the bond between the enzyme and the toxin, it restores acetylcholine breakdown, alleviating symptoms of acetylcholine accumulation like muscle weakness or respiratory distress. We want to look at indications and clinical uses in greater detail. Anticholinergics play a pivotal role in managing diverse clinical conditions by targeting the parasympathetic nervous system. The first approved indication for this class is the treatment of bradycardia, with atropine as a cornerstone agent. Atropine effectively increases heart rate by blocking vagal stimulation, making it indispensable in acute settings like cardiac arrest. Its rapid onset and broad therapeutic window underscore its suitability for this life-saving application. Another vital indication for anticholinergics is the management of respiratory conditions, such as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, and asthma. Drugs like ipratropium and tiotropium provide bronchodilation by inhibiting muscarinic receptors in airway smooth muscles. Their prolonged action and minimal systemic absorption ensure targeted relief with a favorable safety profile. Anticholinergics also address overactive bladder and urinary incontinence, improving patients' quality of life. Oxybutynin and tolterodine are commonly used for their ability to relax detrusor muscle contractions. Their selectivity for bladder receptors helps minimize side effects, making them effective options for managing these conditions. These drugs are further employed in treating motion sickness and postoperative nausea. Scopolamine, administered as a transdermal patch, is a preferred option due to its ability to block vestibular pathways. Its prolonged duration of action and convenient dosing make it highly effective in preventing nausea and vomiting. In addition to approved uses, anticholinergics have notable off-label applications, including reducing excessive salivation in neurological conditions. Glycopyrrolate is frequently used for its peripheral action without crossing the blood-brain barrier. These off-label uses reflect the versatility of this drug class in addressing less common medical challenges. Prophylactically, anticholinergics are invaluable in anesthesia to prevent bradycardia and reduce secretions. Atropine and glycopyrrolate are commonly administered preoperatively for this purpose. Their ability to ensure smooth anesthetic induction and reduce complications demonstrates their preventive importance in surgical care. Now that we've explored the diverse indications and clinical uses of anticholinergics, let's shift gears to understand how these drugs behave within the body. In this section, we'll delve into their pharmacokinetics, unpacking how they are absorbed, distributed, metabolized, and excreted to achieve their therapeutic effects. Absorption: anticholinergic drugs exhibit diverse absorption characteristics depending on their route of administration. Oral agents such as atropine and oxybutynin are well absorbed in the gastrointestinal tract, achieving systemic bioavailability of approximately 50% due to first-pass hepatic metabolism. Conversely, inhaled drugs like ipratropium bromide have minimal systemic absorption, limiting their potential for systemic side effects and targeting their action predominantly in the respiratory tract. Distribution: the distribution of anticholinergic drugs varies significantly, influenced by their lipophilicity and protein binding. Lipophilic drugs such as scopolamine readily cross the blood-brain barrier, leading to central nervous system (CNS) effects such as sedation. In contrast, quaternary ammonium compounds like glycopyrrolate, due to their polar nature, remain largely confined to peripheral tissues and have negligible CNS activity. Metabolism. The metabolism of anticholinergics primarily occurs in the liver, with hepatic enzymes like CYP450 playing a significant role for drugs such as oxybutynin. This drug undergoes extensive first-pass metabolism, forming active metabolites that contribute to its therapeutic effect but also its side effect profile. Drugs with minimal hepatic metabolism, such as trospium chloride, offer a pharmacokinetic advantage in patients with liver impairment. Elimination pathways for anticholinergic drugs involve renal and hepatic clearance, with variability across the class. For instance, drugs like pralidoxime are predominantly renally excreted, necessitating dose adjustments and renal impairment. Elimination half-lives vary widely, with drugs like atropine having a half-life of 2 to 4 hours, while newer agents like sulfaphenacin exhibit longer half-lives, supporting once-daily dosing regimens. Now that we've explored how anticholinergics are absorbed, distributed, metabolized, and excreted, it's time to focus on a critical aspect: their safety profile. In this section, we'll delve into potential adverse effects, serious reactions, warnings, and contraindications to help ensure the safe and effective use of these medications. Anticholinergics, a diverse class of drugs that inhibit acetylcholine at muscarinic receptors, are widely used for conditions ranging from overactive bladder to chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD. Despite their therapeutic value, these drugs have significant safety considerations that demand careful monitoring to minimize adverse outcomes, especially in vulnerable populations. Common adverse effects: anticholinergics commonly cause dry mouth, blurred vision, constipation, and urinary retention due to their muscarinic receptor blockade. Serious adverse effects include tachycardia, hyperthermia, delirium, and acute angle closure glaucoma. For example, oxybutynin for overactive bladder frequently induces dry mouth and constipation, while high doses of atropine can precipitate delirium or hyperthermia. These adverse effects not only impact patient compliance but can also necessitate immediate medical intervention, particularly in older adults. Anticholinergics are associated with central nervous system side effects, including sedation, confusion, and memory impairment. These effects are particularly pronounced in older patients and may lead to heightened risks of falls, cognitive decline, or exacerbation of dementia, necessitating careful selection and dose adjustments during therapy. Warnings and cautions: patients with cardiovascular disorders should use anticholinergics cautiously, as drugs like atropine can exacerbate tachyarrhythmias. Those with pre-existing glaucoma, particularly narrow angle, must avoid these drugs as they can increase intraocular pressure. Additionally, anticholinergics such as ipratropium should be used with caution in individuals with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease to prevent mucus thickening and respiratory complications. Contraindications: key contraindications for anticholinergics include untreated narrow-angle glaucoma, myasthenia gravis, and obstructive gastrointestinal disorders. For example, high acetylcholine is contraindicated in patients with paralytic ileus due to the risk of worsening obstruction. Similarly, medications like glycopyrrolate should be avoided in patients with severe ulcerative colitis, where toxic megacolon is a potential complication. Drug interactions: anticholinergics exhibit significant drug interactions. For example, concurrent use with antihistamines or tricyclic antidepressants can amplify anticholinergic side effects, such as dry mouth and confusion. Combining them with cholinesterase inhibitors, such as donepezil for Alzheimer's disease, negates therapeutic effects. Additionally, co-administration with potassium chloride can increase the risk of gastrointestinal ulcers due to decreased gastrointestinal motility. Use in renal impairment: in renal impairment, careful monitoring is essential for drugs like trospium and fesoterodine, which are primarily renally excreted. Reduced renal clearance of these drugs can increase the risk of toxicity, necessitating dose adjustments. For instance, trospium should be used at lower doses or avoided in severe renal dysfunction to prevent excessive accumulation and adverse effects. Use in pregnancy and lactation. Anticholinergics like scopolamine and atropine are not recommended during pregnancy due to potential fetal risks, including impaired development. Conversely, drugs like ipratropium are considered safer options during pregnancy, supported by minimal systemic absorption. During lactation, medications such as atropine can reduce milk production and may pass into breast milk, while drugs like darafenicin are less likely to pose significant risks when used judiciously. Recap. Now that we've explored anticholinergics, let's take a moment to recap. We've covered the definition, subclasses, and key drugs in the anticholinergics class. Mechanisms of action, including muscarinic and nicotinic receptor blockade. Clinical uses such as treating bradycardia, COPD, and overactive bladder. Pharmacokinetics, detailing absorption, distribution, metabolism, and elimination. Adverse effects, serious risks, warnings, and contraindications for safe use. Toxicity management and newer advancements like long-acting agents. Conclusion. Anticholinergics remain a cornerstone in treating various conditions, from COPD to motion sickness. Understanding their mechanisms and safety profiles is essential for effective and safe clinical use. In our next video, we'll explore sympathomimetics. These drugs activate the adrenergic system, offering widespread clinical applications. Be sure to subscribe to stay updated. Further reading. For more, consult Rang and Dale's Pharmacology or the BNF, British National Formulary. These resources provide deeper insights for healthcare professionals. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the Noted Pharmacist. Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's continue learning together. Thank you for watching.